sing. Who has a song? Number 199. Leaning on the arms of Jesus, oh, it is so sweet and precious. He will surely bless and keep us. Come and rest me free from care. Lean on Jesus, lean on Jesus, safely on the arms of Jesus. I lean on Jesus. Yes, lean Jesus. Leaning on the arms of Jesus. Leaning on his arms of power. Jesus is my strong high tower. He's my peace, a constant shower. He will every need supply. Lean on Jesus, lean on Jesus, safely on the arms of Jesus. I lean on Jesus. Yes, lean Jesus, leaning on the arms of Jesus. Leaning on his arms I'm trusting. What if I to fear? I'm resting. Jesus is my constant blessing. He will all my burdens bear. Lean on Jesus, lean on Jesus, safely on the arms of Jesus. I lean on Jesus. Yes, lean on Jesus, leaning on the arms of Jesus. Amen. 267. Leaning on his arms and cast our cares upon him. Cast thy cares upon the Savior. He will bear them all for thee. And my soul, which now is burdened, shall be kept forever free. Cast thy cares upon the Savior. He will gladly bear them all, even though they seem like mountains, even though they may be small. Cast thy burdens all on Jesus, leaning on his gentle breast, and the storms to gather round thee. Sweet will be thy peaceful rest. Cast thy care upon the Savior. He will gladly bear them all, even
Before we started service tonight, my eyes fell on this song, and the first song we sung was Leaning on the Arms of Jesus, and just kind of went a theme tonight. I appreciate that. I'm abiding in Jesus, what a blessed place. I am sure He kindly cares for me. He will never forsake me if I trust His grace. In His cleansing blood I'm now and free. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. He kindly cares for me. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. In Him my soul is free. I'm abiding in Jesus, what a cheering God. Earthly joys grow dim and pass away. I am happy in knowing that His grace has brought pleasures rich that never will repay. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. He kindly cares for me. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. In Him my soul is free. I'm abiding in Jesus everywhere I go. In His sweet embrace I'm safe from harm. Of His Spirit in fullness we may surely know. I am leaning on the Savior's arm. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. He kindly cares for me. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. In Him my soul is free. I'm abiding in Jesus, so His rest is sweet, and His grace will foil the tempter's power. Life eternal with gladness in my soul, complete is a source of bliss to me each time. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. He kindly cares for me. I'm abiding in the Savior's love. In Him my soul is free.
Well, thank the Lord. What does it mean to abide?
Live
To live
or stay there.
or stay there? Does it mean part-time or full-time? Full-time. Abiding in Jesus doesn't mean with Him part of the time and without Him part of the other time. Our happiness, our peace comes in abiding continuously with Jesus. An emotional response would be say, yes, absolutely, sure. Do we? Lord,
He
help
starts
us.
thinking about what he might find in there, wants to get rid of, or what's to add. And he's gonna stay there with us, and us in him.
Gets close sometimes, doesn't it? We have a lot to be thankful for. We can trust Jesus with our lives. Thank the Lord. You have Thanksgiving tonight. Maybe unspoken
there a special song this evening? I thank thee, Lord, that I can cast my burdens all on thee. Though I be tempted, thou hast died to bear them all for me. Oh, Jesus, I will cling to thee. I'll love thee more and more. I'll place my trembling hand in thine until the battle's o'er. Though tried and pressed, yet I will trust. This one thing I can do. I'll lean upon thy loving breast. Thou guide me safely through. Oh, Jesus, I will cling to thee. I'll love thee more and more. I'll place my trembling hand in thine until the battle's o'er. Though raging storms about me sweep and fiery billows roll, to thee, dear Lord, I only trust the keeping of my soul. Oh, Jesus, I will cling to thee. I'll love thee more and more. I'll place my trembling hand in thine until the battle's o'er. Well, we want the Lord to have his way tonight.
Well, good evening. I appreciate that song. I definitely am placing my trembling hand in the Lord's tonight because well, the Lord's going to have to put a lot of words in my mouth. I'll just put it that way. I appreciate the Lord's faithfulness to me and how He has guided me, helped me to see a path when just in time, when maybe it doesn't look like there's a path forward. There may be times where I felt like there was really no point moving forward or no point in keeping on trying, but He always is faithful to visit when I need it the most and make sure that I understand that there is a path for me. I've written on the board, excellent spirit. As far as I know in the scriptures, there's one person who that is specifically mentioned about having an excellent spirit. Now there's others that's implied that in the scriptures, but excellent spirit is mentioned specifically for Daniel twice. I guess before we go into that, have you ever thought about the word excellent or excellence, maybe? My wife can tell you, I'm not a person to give 5-star reviews very easily because I always look at, if I go to a place of business or a restaurant or something, there's usually something they could have done better. I mean, that's just how I look at things. I'm not going to give a 5-star review if they weren't absolutely perfect. Now, I have given 5-star reviews because maybe the service was excellent, they kept my drink full, everything tasted great, I didn't have a single bad experience. There's been times where I felt like, you know what, I'll give a 5-star review, and I don't give reviews very often, but when I have, I just say it's difficult to get a 5-star review from me because I usually just think you really have to do a lot to earn that. Excellence, throughout the scriptures, we're called to pursue excellence. We're called to chase after excellence, to reach for excellence. And I will have to say, I've been one of those, when I read that scripture, I think it's in Matthew, where Jesus says, "Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is also perfect," which you could also look at perfection as excellence. I've been one of the ones who look at that and say, well, how in the world am I supposed to be perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect? But that's not necessarily what God understands that we're human. I am never going to reach God-like perfection. I'm never going to reach the point where I no longer need my Savior. And the guidance of the Scriptures, I've reached it. I am now excellent. I've reached it. Now all it is, I just might as well go on to heaven because there's nothing else for me to do here. There's no more. I've reached it. I'm there. That's not going to happen. But the guiding principle in the Scriptures, if you read into it, it's God understands we're human. I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm going to say things maybe I shouldn't. I'm going to have attitudes maybe I shouldn't at times. But the idea is that I am pursuing after the excellent spirit. I'm going to read the definition. This is the Webster 1812 definition, so it's probably a little different than the new Webster dictionary. Excellent, being of great virtue or worth, eminent or distinguished for what is amiable, valuable, or laudable, as an excellent man or citizen. Then another definition, being of great value or use, remarkable for good properties, distinguished for superior attainments, and consummate or complete. So excellent, an excellent spirit. Let's go ahead and read. I want to read the second instance in Daniel where he's referred to as having an excellent spirit. It's Daniel 6:3. And I will say I didn't do my homework to see how long after Daniel had been captured, that this took place. Some of y'all may already know this, I don't know. But this was after Daniel had been taken from the lion's den. This is after the whole ordeal of that whole situation where he was out of the, I think he was, well, no, I'm sorry. I think it was before he went to the lion's den. It was after the whole handwriting on the wall and all that stuff. Let's see, let's read, I think it's verse 3. It says, then, this is when Darius was setting up his kingdom. It said, then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Now, before this, I think it would have been Nebuchadnezzar's mother had mentioned to Belshazzar, or Belteshazzar, I can't remember their names, that, hey, there's a man, this is when the handwriting on the wall happened, she said, there's a man that, he's a man that can interpret dreams, he can do all these things, and he has an excellent spirit about him. And so that's when he was called, that was the first time he was called to have an excellent spirit. Where do you think Daniel's excellent spirit started after he arrived in Babylon? Do you think that's the first moment he started working on himself? Because what's the very first story that stands out about Daniel in the Bible that really makes you remember who Daniel is? It may be the first mention of Daniel, I'm not sure. It's the story of when he said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I can't eat that. I can't partake of the king's meat. Can you please let me eat this? Let me do this." And then the captain of the guard said, "Oh, absolutely not. I can't do it." He said, "Well, just give me, 10 days or something like that?" He said, "Just give us a little bit of time, and I'll prove to you." Daniel had some strength about him, that there was something that he had decided a long time ago. There was something before he was ever captured and brought to Babylon. There was something inside of Daniel that was striving. Said, "No, I know I've been captured." He could have been place yourself in Daniel's shoes. He had just been captured. I'm assuming probably had to walk all the way from Jerusalem to Babylon. Gets there and he gets selected as being one of the ones who's going to be trained to be one of the king's students or whatever it was that they were training to be. And he stood up for what he believed in. In a strange land, he stood up to the captain of the guard, said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do that." And then it wasn't just Daniel, but it was his friends too, when they said, if the Lord spares us, if he doesn't, it's okay. I know what I'm standing for. I know what I'm after. I'm after my well, at that time they didn't know who Jesus was, but I'm after my God. I want that indwelling presence with me. I know what it feels like to have God with me. And Daniel, it's obvious that God and his spirit was with Daniel, because as a human, he couldn't have done those things on his own. He had something made up in his mind that he was going to pursue excellence. And how do you think this is, I guess, I think this was the third king that Daniel was under. It was Nebuchadnezzar, then his son, and then now it's Darius. It passed through all those that Daniel has an excellent spirit. A king of a mighty empire, I guess you would call it, is saying, "Hey, this man, there's something special about this man. He doesn't serve the same God I serve." And Darius wasn't worshiping the Lord. He wasn't worshiping, as far as we can understand, he was not worshiping God as Daniel, the one true God. But he recognized something in Daniel, said, this man is special. There's something about him. And that same spirit of excellence is available for me. But the benefit that I have is I can know Jesus personally. I have the opportunity to go home or come right here and kneel down and speak to my Jesus, and he'll be right here with me and walk with me to when I'm faced with a temptation, when I'm faced with a difficult situation at work, when I'm faced with, you name it. If I've been feeding that spirit of holiness that I'm pursuing, Jesus is, y'all pray for me. The devil is not wanting this message to come out right. I don't want to be afraid of any man. I don't want to be. You look at Daniel. Well, I think there's a psalm, because Daniel would have been after David. I think it's Psalm 56, maybe. I don't even know if it's a Psalm of David or not. So yeah, it is Psalm 56. I'm going to read this a little bit, and I want us to think about it. You know, Daniel he probably didn't have the written scriptures, but he probably had some things committed to memory. There was something with Daniel for him to be able to stand like he did in Babylon. I'm going to read Psalm 56. Maybe this was something that was rolling through Daniel's mind. Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Mine enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou most high. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. Do you think he was afraid whenever he found out that he was going to go to the lion's den? Do you think he was just, there was no fear at all? While he did have faith in his God, I know how I would feel. Yes, maybe whatever comes, Lord help, his friends, I have a feeling there's a little bit of, hey, I really don't want to go in that fire, but if the Lord doesn't, because they said, either he will or he won't. If he saves us, that's great. I'm happy. But if he doesn't, that's also good because I get to be with him. I have a feeling there's a little bit of fear, but it says, what time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. In God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. Does that not sound like Daniel and the princes that were after him? This was right after he was called have an excellent spirit. It was whenever they started the whole trying to go after every little thing they could think of, they could find. And guess what they found? Nothing. The worst thing that they could find about Daniel was that he prayed. I would sure love that the worst thing that anybody could say about me is that I was regular about my praying. That I was like clockwork on my praying. I can say with my head a little bit shameful that you probably couldn't say that about me, about my prayer as being like clockwork. I have some work to do. I want to be more like that, where people know, hey, in the morning he prays, in the afternoon he prays, in the evening he prays, and I want to be more like that. Every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Shall they escape by iniquity? In thine anger cast down the people, O God. Thou tellest my wanderings, put thou my tears into a bottle. Are they not in thy book? When I cry unto thee, then shall mine enemies turn back. This I know, for God is for me. In God will I praise his word. In the Lord will I praise his word. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. Thy vows are upon me, O God. I will render praises unto thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death. Wilt not thou deliver my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living? Y'all, there's a lot in that psalm. I have confidence. Daniel going into the lion's den, we think of David. He was mentioned, he was the other one that came to my mind when there's several in the scriptures talking about having an excellent spirit. David was mentioned as being a man after God's own heart. Did David not have any flaws? Did David not have any issues? Did he have some stumbles? He sure did. But his heart, and I think that's, because I struggled with that a little bit when I was younger. It said David a man after God's own heart, and I look at all these mistakes that David made, but every single time David was trying to do better. When he recognized what he had done, he said, oh, Lord, I don't want to do that. Help me to be better. Help me to step up. Help me to grow. Help me to, whenever I'm faced with something, I want to learn from it. I don't want to waste this moment that I had. And I want to feed the thing that needs to be fed. To grow my spirit of excellence doesn't do for me to be feeding all these other things that's in my life. To feed the spirit of excellence is to spend time with the one who can provide that spirit of excellence, to spend time with the Holy Spirit, which is where the excellent spirit comes from. Without the Holy Spirit inside of me, I will not have an excellent spirit. I will not be able to stand up like Daniel stood up for what he believed in, for going to the lion's den. I don't know that Daniel said this psalm, but maybe he did. Maybe he was aware of it. I don't know. I don't know if he was but I can tell you the principle of the psalm behind it. In God will I praise his word. In God have I put my trust. It's obvious where Daniel's trust was. His loyalty to God a man of incredible discipline. You think about it, if someone came to you and said, you know, if you continue to pray like you do, or if you continue to live like you do, you continue to speak about Jesus, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get thrown into the lion's den. You know, do you think it was required of Daniel to open up his window and pray towards Jerusalem every day? Do you think it was required of him? Do you think God required that I don't think there was a commandment anywhere that said, you shall open your window and when you pray and you shall do the... But what Daniel did is when he found out that the enemy was against him, said, you shall not pray to your Lord and to anybody besides me, the king. You're going to get thrown into the lion's den. But what did Daniel do? Did he, you know, if it was me, I probably would have thought about, you know what, the Lord would probably be okay with me shutting my window to pray. I figured he'd probably be all right with me shutting my window and pray. I'll still pray. I'm not going to not pray to the Lord. But I think this time I'm going to shut my window until these however many days it was are up. I think that would, you know, I think the Lord would understand. That moment right there shows what time I'm afraid I will trust in thee. I have put in God have I put my trust. Daniel basically said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to pray. I'm not going to change what I do. I'm not going to give in to the fear that these people are trying to put on me. I'm not going to give in to the fear of the enemy. I am going to confidently go back to my God, and I'm going to pray. And I want to feed this excellent spirit. I want this to continue to grow. Daniel didn't want to lose that. And y'all, as we feel those moments when the Spirit deals with us, I don't ever want those to go away, and I only want to feed that and continue to allow that Spirit of God to be nurtured and grown inside of me. I don't want to ever push it out to where there's no room for Him anymore. We heard this morning about coming into the service and we could be completely full. We've been gorging ourselves on all kinds of other things, and our mind is just full, and our heart is full of projects that I've got to do at work. I've got a full week next week. I've got all the things that we can push into our mind, even if it's not sinful, it's not wrong. Maybe I do I need to re-roof my house, or I've got a project going on at work that really needs my attention, or whatever it is. We can fill ourselves up with that, and when we come sit right here, we're so full and so consumed with that there's no room for me to feed the Spirit, and we start pushing it out. We start pushing that excellent Spirit out, and before we know it, we've lost some of those things. And like I think it was a few Sundays ago, we talked about whenever we need mercy or grace or whatever, we might have misplaced that and said it. We've got so much junk. Like my shop, I think I was here, I mentioned about my shop being so messy. When I need something, sometimes it's a little challenging for me to find it. I had something today I was looking for, and it took me a few minutes to find it because I hadn't put it back where it belonged. I should have, but I didn't. And so it took me a little while to find what I was looking for. When we start filling our lives up, or either we come and we're not hungry anymore, or whenever we need it, we can't find it. Whenever we need the grace or the mercy or the patience, it's under a pile of stuff because I haven't been keeping my place, my heart excellent. I haven't been pursuing excellence because I've been pursuing just stuff, vanity. Whether Solomon said vanity is everything, all this stuff, all these things. I've come to the end of all these things. I've pursued I've let myself have everything it wanted. I haven't, what do you say? I think anything my heart desired, I didn't let it want for anything. If I wanted it, I got it. If I needed it, I had it. And at the very end of it, what did he say? It's all vanity. It wasn't worth anything. This is what matters. My spirit of excellence in pursuing that, going on to perfection. And one of the key ways that we do that, and it's a verse that probably we all know. I never can recite the whole thing because, anyway, I get it all mixed up, so I'm going to read it. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Now, you could pretty much say, I know there's another list talking about things we shouldn't do, but you can basically read this list in reverse and say, if things are dishonest, if they're not just, if they're impure, if they're not lovely, you can go down the list. Don't think on those things. Don't dwell on that. You're gonna mar your pursuit for excellence. As I said before, we're never going to reach that moment where I don't need the Lord anymore. I've reached excellence. The principle of it is to pursue it. Pursue excellence. I want to be the best that I can be. I want to seek the Lord. I want Him to fill me, and I want to receive everything that He has to give me. But to do that, I have to think on things that are true and lovely and honest and just and of good report. If I'm dwelling on all the things that people have done to me, or even things that are just idle, that are of no eternal value, if we continue to dwell on those things, we'll start slowly pushing out that excellent spirit, and it'll get less and less and less till before you know it, it's been misplaced, or you've allowed it to be pushed out. And it's not a thing that necessarily happens just instantly. A lot of times we just start filling up our minds. We're filling up our time with things that rob from our pursuit of excellence. That song, Dare to be a Daniel, I was thinking of that. We don't have to sing it, but I was going to read some of the words. Standing by a purpose true, heeding God's command. And then, second verse, many mighty men are lost, daring not to stand, who for God had been a host by joining Daniel's band. Many giants, great and tall, stalking through the land, headlong to the earth would fall, if met by Daniel's band. Hold the gospel banner high, on to victory grand, Satan and his host defy, and shout for Daniel's band. Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, dare to make it known. That is a challenge for me, that I would dare, it says to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, and dare, this is the part that would be a challenge to me, dare to make it known. Not obnoxiously, but when it's time for me to stand up, that I'd have the courage and the strength to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And that also, whenever the time comes for whatever it may be, reviews at work, conversation around the water cooler, conversation in the supermarket, I want it to be said of me that, hey, that's a good man. The worst thing I can think about of him is that he prays all the time, or that he talks about his Jesus all the time. I know we can't, there's normal conversations happen, but y'all see where I'm going with that. The worst thing that they could find about Daniel was that he prayed consistently. Lord, help me. I have a lot of room to grow. Y'all pray for me. I want to be true, and I want to be able to stand firm for the Lord.